Hello, and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Liz, a disability policy for all. Today we had the honor and the privilege of talking to Taryn Williams, who is the Assistant Director of the Office of Public Engagement at the White House. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Liz.
Can you tell the audience what is the Office of Engagement and what is the purpose of the office?
Absolutely. The White House Office of Public Engagement exists to ensure that communities all around the nation have a connection to the White House and the work that we do. So we have many different liaisons that work as partners with different communities. And in my case, I am the liaison to the disability community. So I spend a lot of time meeting with activists and advocates from all over the disability community, making sure that they know what the administration's priorities are, and I'll also ensure that the interests of the disability community are being heard throughout the administration.
Great, thank you. In the past, we have talked about the transitioning and post-secondary programs for students with intellectual disability. Can you tell the audience more about the President's initiative around community colleges and how it can help people with disabilities?
Oh, absolutely. As you know, the president a few months ago, or I guess maybe not a few months, about 6 weeks ago, announced a new initiative for community colleges that endeavors to make community college free for all students who are eligible. I think this is really important for people with disabilities because we know a great deal of students with disabilities of all ages go on to community colleges to get education. So if we are successful with this community college effort, it'll be an opportunity for students with disabilities to go on to community college and earn their degree and go on to the workforce.
Great, and that's what we hope for. Last week we on Tuesdays with Liz, we talked about the curb cuts to the middle class that the White House initiated. Can you tell us more about that and what is the status of it?
Oh, absolutely. So the Curb Cuts to the Middle Class initiative is an interagency effort partnered with agencies all across the federal government and the White House that is meant to break down the barriers to employment for people with disabilities. Unfortunately, we know from statistics that people with disabilities are unemployed, underemployed, or not even in the workforce. And this effort is designed to change that. We want to make sure that our different agencies, like the Department of Labor, the Department of Education, Health and Human Services, and many others, are working together to break down those barriers that keep individuals from being successful in the workplace.
Okay, thanks. Now that you're returning to the Department of Labor, what are your plans?
That is a great question. I'm going to take a little bit of time off right after I finish my detail assignment with the White House, and then I'll be returning to the Department of Labor's Office of Disability Employment Policy, where I serve as a senior policy advisor on the youth policy team. That is my passion. So as soon as I get back, I'll be again turning my attention to working to ensure that youth and young adults with disabilities are successfully transitioning into the workplace.
Wow. Okay, thanks. Is there anything else that I missed or you would like to talk about the White House or your new job?
I would say maybe we are very excited and we are planning events within the White House and also throughout the federal government to celebrate this big year, which is the 25th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. It is a priority for us to acknowledge such a momentous piece of legislation. So please stay tuned for our efforts.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Taryn. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Tuesdays with Liz. If you have any questions or comments about this week's edition of Tuesdays with Liz, please leave them in the space below. If you have any questions or comments about this or any other information about policy, please go to the AUCD webpage and look for this week's In Brief. Thank you, and I look forward to talking to you next week. Bye.